We're making tomato feta pasta today. So today, I'm suffering from a case of FOMO because I've been on TikTok looking everywhere, and everywhere I keep seeing this same pasta recipe and I really want to make it. So that's what we're doing today. But I'm gonna do a little bit of a twist on it because I have FOMO, but I don't want to be unoriginal. So what you're gonna need whatever kind of pasta you want. Literally any pasta works. If you have a bunch of leftover macaroni from the mac and cheese episode, use that one. Obviously you're gonna need feta cheese, cherry tomatoes, salt, pepper, a couple cloves of garlic, basil, parsley, get these fresh if you can, some dried oregano, some dried thyme, a chili pepper, a red bell pepper, olive oil, and balsamic vinaigrette. The original recipe, you literally just need the tomatoes, the cheese, and the pasta, but all this is my riff on the recipe. So outside of the tomato, cheese, and pasta, do whatever you want with this. Have fun with it. That's part of the fun of cooking. So another fun thing about cooking, you can cook with friends, and today we have a special guest, Hayden.
Hello everyone.
Introduce yourself, Hayden.
Hi, I'm Hayden Cordova. I'm the managing editor of the Vanguard, and I am also completely inexperienced with cooking, so this will be fun.
That's fantastic, me too. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, so first thing you want to do, go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees, okay? And then we're cooking pasta. You know how to cook pasta. Turn your stove up to high, and then salt the water. You salt the water, Hayden?
Okay. You want to just tap it in? Like?
Make it as salty as the sea.
Okay.
That's good, wow.
All right.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we've got that going. We're gonna let that come up, and we're gonna put our pasta in once it comes to a boil. So Hayden, cutting board for you.
All right.
Let me get some of this stuff out the way. So you're gonna want to start by slicing all of your cherry tomatoes in half, okay? You're gonna use this one.
All right.
I'm gonna use the big knife, okay?
Give me the little one.
So real quick, before you start cutting, something important about when you're using a kitchen knife. So you're not gonna hold it like your normal knife. You wanna grab it like that naturally, right?
Yeah.
What you're gonna wanna do is take your forefinger, lay it across here,
Okay.
and then your thumb is gonna pinch the other side back here, and you're gonna wrap around the top of the handle right here. So when you're cutting, it's a nice natural motion like that.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you cut all of these tomatoes in half, and then we're gonna put them into our pan here.
All right. Just regular in half?
Cut them lengthwise.
Lengthwise, all right.
But first, we're gonna wash them. Just rinse them in some cold water.
Important to stay clean, ladies and gentlemen.
Lengthwise, so from the stem,
All right.
the top, you're just gonna cut it in half, like that one time.
Okay.
You're just gonna do that. You can pile them up on your cutting board here.
Ooh, that's a horrible cut. There we go.
Well, they're gonna get broken up anyways once we mix everything together,
Okay.
so they don't have to be perfect cuts.
Oh, this one's a little pear. Pear tomato.
Yeah, I bought the fancy tomatoes at Publix because I felt like it.
Well, there you go.
But, you know, you can use whatever cherry tomatoes you want. You can use whole tomatoes and just dice them. This works better with cherry tomatoes because cherries are a little bit sweeter than your average tomato. and you'll see more lab grown or greenhouse grown cherry tomatoes, so they're fresh year round. That's why we can make this in the middle of February and it's still gonna be good.
This is when you're on the last lap of Mario Kart and then you get booted back to 12th. You get hit with the blue shell, the speed, the mushroom, someone zooms past you, Bullet Bill hits you on the way, knocks you off of the bridge.
Okay, one real quick thing, when you're cutting them, you're kind of sawing as you go in it. You just wanna, it's a straight boom.
Just a straight, okay. I'm just like, yes, saw. Okay, there we go.
It also leaves your plate a lot cleaner. See all the juice you let come out?
I have made your cutting board nasty. There we go.
That's fine, it's good. And another thing, this goes for you guys too, is you want to lead with the tip of your blade. Like, I don't know if they'll be able to see it on camera, but you can kind of see on mine where the moisture is.
Yeah.
It's just that front bit up here.
Ah, right, okay.
Because your tip is always going to be your sharpest part.
Okay.
So we've got my pile of tomatoes and yours.
And mine.
So we're just going to throw all these in here real quick.
All right.
And these don't have to be pretty. Again, like I told him earlier, they're all going to end up getting mashed together once we start like mixing the pasta after it's been cooked. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a kitchen towel really quick, wipe down your board.
Okay.
You can grab that other one right there.
Sure.
So you want to get all that cherry tomato juice off there.
Cool. There we go.
Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is your garlic. Hayden, do you know anything about how to get garlic out of the wrapper?
Not in the slightest.
Okay. Did you ever see Karate Kid?
Yes.
Okay.
Love that movie.
So, you're gonna do like Mr. Miyagi said. You're gonna put whole energy 2 inches.
Ah.
You're gonna take it. A little tip that I find makes it easier for me. Have the curve of the garlic clove towards you. Makes it a little bit easier on your hand. And you just, like that.
Alrighty then.
And it'll come right out.
This is doubling as a therapy session.
Yeah, any frustrations you have from the week, you know, classes, you have a professor who isn't responding to your emails, anything like that, you know, take it out on your garlic cloves.
So, let me get this straight. You literally just, that?
Yeah, just hit it as hard as you can. That releases the garlic from its little shell.
Okay.
If you don't want to buy whole cloves like this and have to mince it yourself, they have those little jars of garlic that you can buy that are pre-minced. Those work. I personally don't like those because since they're pre-minced, they kind of already lost a bunch of their oil and they're not as alive as stuff like this, but you're a college student, you're broke, whatever's cheaper. I will say that jar of minced garlic will last you a lot longer than buying whole cloves. So real quick, our water's boiling back here, so we're gonna throw our pasta in. Here I just have a pound of rigatoni. Pour that in. So once that's in, good tip, stir it up a little bit right after you put it in. That'll help keep the pasta from sticking to each other. And we'll let that go for about, I'd say 11 minutes or so. So now we've got our garlic out. What we're gonna do is, this is gonna be a little bit trickier, okay?
Okay.
So if you don't feel comfortable getting your fingers this close to the knife, I'll do it. We're just gonna chop it up. We're gonna finely mince it. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the ends off of it.
Okay.
Those little stems. And then just along the garlic, I'm gonna cut it super thin. At home, if you get the whole cloves and you don't feel like chopping it like this, you can buy what's called a garlic press that'll go ahead and mince it for you as you press it through the thing. It's kind of like a potato masher, just smaller. So, do you want to try that on these two?
I will attempt to. This is either going to be...
When you do it, okay, hang on.
Okay.
Make sure you curl your fingers in, you know,
Okay.
and you have your knuckle out. So if you do end up running against your fingers, you're only running against that knuckle.
Okay.
And not against the tip of your fingers.
This is either the beginning of a wonderful cooking video or the beginning of a gone wrong video. We're about to see.
We're going to change the show to Cooking in the ER.
Yeah, there we go. All new special fingers frying.
Okay, so we've got it cut up in these little thin slices right here, right? But we still need to mince it, get it smaller so it incorporates into the pasta. So I'm just gonna mince it real quick. You smell that like garlic.
Yeah, I was about to say when I was cutting it, the smell was like, ooh, very nice.
So that was just my little chef flex of mincing. You can take your time at home, you know. I just wanted to show off a little bit. Okay, so we've got this all minced. We're gonna take it and just throw it in here. Okay. So again, we're gonna wipe our board and our knives down.
Okay.
The next thing that we're gonna do, this is where it gets kind of twisty. We're gonna take this bell pepper, okay? I'm gonna teach you guys a secret for when it comes to cutting peppers. So Hayden, you're just gonna be watching on these next two parts. So you take the top, hack that just right off. You throw that away, or if you're bougie enough to make vegetable stock, save it for that. You're gonna take the ends, hack that off. I'm actually gonna hold on to that piece. So the thing with peppers is the part of peppers that are hot, that includes chilies, is the seeds and these inside core parts, right?
Yeah.
We don't want the heat. We want the flavor of the pepper, so we gotta get that out somehow. You know, normally, you know, you might see someone just like cut it down the sides. What we're gonna do is a little chefy thing. I'm gonna take it and put a little slit right here. Then I'm gonna run my knife along the skin on the inside and roll the pepper out. And take the core out like that. That way, you're left with just the good part. And then you have the core. You just throw that away or on the ground because you missed the trash can. Okay, so here we're gonna be cutting this up. I'm gonna let you cut that part up.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut this one in half for you, so you can help with that.
Alrighty. So
this one, I'm cutting into thin slices, okay? So the same principle. When you're doing this, so you're just kind of like coming down on it, you want to rock, right? So
rock, okay.
Not on the pepper real quick.
Okay.
You're gonna rock with it. So the way I rock is like that.
So like kind of a forward motion.
Yeah, like it's a boat. You're just coming along the edge of the blade and just rocking it back and forth.
Okay.
It should be really natural. In this part, you're mainly cutting with the back edge of the knife.
That explains a lot. There we go. It's going a lot easier. Not just a cooking show, but proper knife handling. There we go.
Let's see so the walls of the pepper we're going to cut into these long strips called a julienne, right? That's a chefy term. But this bottom piece, I'm just going to mince this up real quick. So we're going to take your julienne peppers, just throw them in there.
All right.
I'm going to mince this one up real quick. The bottom of the pepper here, I'm not going to mince it nearly as finely because we still want some of those pepper chunks, but that little curve just comes off weird inside the pasta.
Oh, yeah.
You're just going to cut it like an idiot.
So like me.
I didn't say that. And you just got a super large dice / mince, you know. We're just going to throw that in there. Okay, so next we've got the chili here.
All right.
We're gonna do the same thing that we did for the bell pepper. With the bell pepper, you could leave some of the seeds in and still be fine, but chili pepper, we really want to get those seeds out. And unfortunately, this knife is too big for that, so I'm gonna bring out my little paring knife. For this one, I'm gonna cut it down the middle, right here. Don't go all the way through. Open it up. And I'm just gonna run my knife along the edge of the skin, trying to leave as much of the fruit in the pepper intact as possible, and get those seeds out. And if you can, get some of that stem wall, because that's gonna be really bitter. But some of you people may like bitter in your pasta. I don't know. I'm not you.
Some people may want a super spicy pasta and leave all the seeds in.
Yeah, if you want a spicy pasta, leave your seeds in. But I don't want this pasta to be spicy. Like I said at the beginning, this is all super riffable. Okay, so now we've got the seeds out for the most part in the skin. So we're just gonna take this real quick, throw all this stuff away, because you don't want that to accidentally end up in there somewhere.
Right.
And again, we're gonna finely mince this like we did the bottom of the bell pepper. That's just gonna give it a little bit of sweet heat that's still left in the skin, but it's not that super spicy heat that you get from the seeds and such.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna throw that in there. Okay. Next part, we're gonna do our herbs. So we're gonna start with our basil. Here I've got fresh basil, but it's been picked and planted or packaged already. You can buy whole plants. Just for me this time, I felt like this was good enough. But if you can get a whole plant or grow yourself a basil plant or any kind of herb plant, it's always gonna be better. So with basil, what you normally see in these kinds of pastas is they pick off the leaves, right? And then just throw the stem away. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna keep the stem because that stem has a lot of really good flavor in it. So we're gonna pick off some of our leaves.
Yeah, you mentioned the flavor. I was gonna ask, I'm completely unfamiliar with herbs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of flavor is this gonna add to pasta?
So the basil herbs usually are used to add freshness, you know? Because a lot of this is really savory kind of flavors.
Yeah.
And the leaves we're gonna add at the very end. So they're gonna be raw, basically.
Okay.
But this stem is gonna infuse some freshness into the actual pasta, more at its ground level. That's something we call building layers of flavor. And building layers of flavor is how you get to those really good dishes.
Yeah.
Like, you'll see recipes that are like, you salt it here, then you salt it again, then you salt it again. That's an example of how you're building layers of flavor on top of each other that all complement.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what we're doing here.
So it's like the layers of a cake or something.
Yes, exactly. So we got a couple. I'll let you pick the leaves off that one and leave the stem. Ooh. You're gonna go over here, but you there.
Yeah, see, when I get a plate with a bunch of leafy greens on it, I'm like, cool. Don't know what this does, but it looks nice.
Most of the time, those little leafy greens that you see on top of stuff at restaurants, that's just garnish stuff to make it look prettier, make you want to eat it. They're usually not intended to eat those things.
Huh. My life is a learning.
So I'm gonna check our pasta real quick.
Okay.
So, Hayden, do you know how you know the pasta is done?
Not in the slightest.
Okay, so what we're looking for is something called al dente in pasta. Al dente is when it's not, it's not completely cooked, it's not mush. It still has a little bit of spring back with it.
Okay.
So it'll still be chewy, but as you bite into it, you feel kind of a little snap. Not a huge one, not like a cracker, more like a gummy almost.
Yeah.
It's a really weird analogy.
have we achieved al dente?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, great.
So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna kill the heat on here, and make sure it's not hot. Pull this off,
Okay.
and then we're gonna get something that's called liquid gold. That's pasta water.
Ah.
And the pasta water is liquid gold because as that pasta cooked, there's a lot of starchiness added to the water, and that starchiness is really good for making sauces because that allows the sauce to kind of stick to everything, stick to itself, stick to the pasta. So it's liquid gold, especially if you have a really loose sauce.
Yeah.
Pasta water can make a huge difference.
Cool.
So we're gonna strain this pasta real quick.
That's what we call using every part of the buffalo.
That's hot. Let's go for it. Safety first, kids. Kids.
Don't do this at home, but do it safely.
Okay. Still a little bit. Fine. Okay.
So long failed ones.
So when you drain your pasta, you don't want to just let it sit there immediately. You want to toss it a little bit, make sure everything doesn't stick to each other.
Okay.
And so I'm going to leave that here because we're almost good to go. So have you picked all the leaves off your basil here?
I believe so. There's a couple little stragglers here.
And this is your stem here?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to keep those. Your leaves, put them in here for me.
Okay.
And then what we're going to come to next is our Italian parsley. If I can open it. So basil is a little bit more of a full-bodied, richer flavor. The parsley is a little bit more bitter, so they complement each other really well.
Okay.
So we're going to take our parsley, and when you're picking your parsley, it's real simple. If you have fingernails, this works especially good. Is grab the stem, and just come along the stem, and rip it off.
Okay.
And we're going to be keeping the stems of these two, because like I said earlier, the parsley stem has so much flavor.
Yeah.
We're going to use less parsley than we did basil, so you go ahead and start picking those.
You said just like midway through the stem? Like just right around here?
Yeah, just like anywhere before where you see a leaf, you know,
Okay.
right here, it starts to split off. So I'm going to grab it just below that,
Okay.
kind of pinch, but don't pinch it in half, and just run your fingers along. Sometimes it'll break off, that's fine.
Okay.
Just kind of strip it.
Awesome.
We're not going to use nearly as much parsley in this as we are basil, because it goes a lot further.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you could just do what I'm about to do with the parsley stems all together, but I like to break it up a little bit. So take your leaves, put them here for me,
Okay.
and then put your stems over here.
Some long ones here.
So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna give a super rough chop on the parsley leaves. This is not super technical at all. Just like that, so there's still, you know, some big chunks. I'm gonna take those and throw them in here. Then we're gonna take our basil stem and our parsley stem, and we're gonna get really fine with that, like we did with the garlic. You can smell the oils from the herbs coming out as you chop it. And they complement each other really well, don't they?
Yeah, it does.
And
Kind of a like oily, bittery kind of smell.
but it's still like refreshing.
Yeah. It's like walking into like a greenhouse or something.
Right. And 90% of cooking is smell. That's like really good steaks are often basted, like butter basted with things like rosemary and thyme. Because like while you're not necessarily cooking the steak itself, with the rosemary and thyme.
Yeah.
And the flavor of that is really only getting in the butter that's resting on top of the steak. That smell that gets left on the steak tells your brain, ooh, this is gonna taste really good.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're doing here too.
Cool.
So I'm gonna rough chop this, or mince this up a little bit more. And the stems you're gonna wanna mince up pretty fine because the big chunk is gonna be super bitter. And we're kinda gonna want these to almost disappear in the pasta or in the sauce as we cook it.
Okay. So you mentioned smell being a huge part of the cooking and stuff. Isn't it like the brain and like the taste and the smell receptors and stuff, they kind of work in tandem a lot with food?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact science of it. I'm not that smart. But basically, if it smells good, it's gonna taste good. Or your brain's gonna at least make it taste good.
Yeah.
If it smells bad, you're probably not gonna like it. That's why, like if you're like having to take Tums or something like that, you see a lot of people pinch their nose when they do it. So they don't smell bad, so they almost don't taste it. Okay, so we've got all those. We're gonna put our herbs aside for now.
Okay.
And then wipe down our cutting board. So our next step is I'm gonna need you to, I'm gonna get you to pepper this one actually.
Sure.
So this pepper grinder, the reason I use a grinder is because these whole peppercorns here,
Yeah.
they're, like I said with the garlic earlier, they're more alive, you know?
Yeah.
They still kind of have, I don't know how to explain it. But
In its natural form.
yeah, it's still got like more energy to it.
Yeah.
And so fresh ground pepper, not only does it taste better, it's actually healthier for you. It helps bring out some of these like minerals and vitamins and stuff like that out of the food.
Yeah.
So you just twist it to the right, it'll come out. So give me about 3 of those on there.
All right.
And spread it out over it.
There we go. Just like 3 twists?
Yep.
Like that? Cool.
Now I'm gonna salt this. Whenever you're salting something, you wanna get a coarse salt or like a kosher salt like this. That's got the big kernels or grinds that you can kind of feel. You know?
Right.
So, you know, you can feel the grinds in it. It helps you get an idea of how heavily you're salting.
Yeah.
So as you cook and you get used to feeling how much salt you're putting on there, you get an idea how much salt is too much, how much is not enough, stuff like that.
So that really helps with like finding the vague measurement of a pinch of salt.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, we measure everything with our heart here. So,
Yes.
and, you know, so, and another thing too, when you season, make sure you season from up high. That not only allows it to spread out, but also makes sure you don't get, you know, a bunch of salt like down in one certain area.
Right.
So then you'll get like one extremely salty bite, you know?
I am incredibly guilty of that whenever I make my own food.
Okay, so we've got a good layer of salt on there. I want you to sprinkle on this dried thyme.
Okay.
And I'm gonna sprinkle on this dried oregano.
There we go. Just like the Simon and Garfunkel song. A little bit more. There we go.
Okay, that's
Got
good. So, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get our hands a little messy here.
All right.
But you washed your hands, right? So while he's washing his hands, I'm just gonna put some oil across everything in this pan, okay? A good healthy drizzle of olive oil. So now we've got all these ingredients, you know, they're kind of in their own individual quadrants, right?
Yeah.
It's not what we want. We want to toss this all together.
Okay.
So now, you know, get your hands all nice and oily. Get in there, mix everything up.
All right. Like tossing a salad, but slimier.
It's a red salad.
Yes.
Okay. So now we've got everything tossed up and incorporated together nicely. We're gonna end up tossing it again anyway, so even if it's not super well put together,
Okay.
we're gonna make a little well in the middle here. And then what I want you to do is get the feta cheese out of there.
Both containers or just the one?
Just open one right now. If we need the other one, we'll do that.
Wow.
Is it a...
That was full to the brim.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, so this one is a feta cheese block. It's not crumbled.
Okay.
So it's still got a lot of juices in it. So we're just gonna drain that out. And that leaves us with our feta cheese block.
Okay.
So we're just gonna put that in there. We're gonna do the same with this other one.
Yeah, I thought I broke it at first.
Should have worn my headphones. Okay, so we're gonna get our feta cheese in there. Hands again. Get stuff all over them. And I got salt and something on my hand somewhere. I don't feel it. Hurts. Okay.
Bands.
So we've got that in there. And we're gonna give this the feta cheese another little drizzle of olive oil over it. So feta cheese by itself already is a pretty salty cheese, like Parmesan, you know?
Yeah.
So we're not gonna put any salt on this. If you like super salty stuff, go ahead, but like, it gets really overpowering for me if I salt it.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna crack some pepper over the top of it.
Yeah, I am a sodium addict.
So we've got this all prepared, and now we're gonna put it in a 400-degree oven. We're gonna put it in a 400-degree oven for anywhere from 25 to 35 minutes. Just keep your eye on the feta. So when the feta starts to brown, you start to see some juices coming out of the tomatoes, that's when you know it's ready. Okay, so we're gonna do that now.
Okay.
I'll see you later.
It'll be a fully grown pasta.
So we'll come back to you whenever our feta is nice and golden brown across the top. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes now. The feta looks nice and golden brown on top, so we're gonna go ahead and take it out of the oven.
Let's do it.
Hold this.
Oh boy, I can't. Scald my hands.
There we go. We got a nice golden brown top on it, on that cheese.
Well, that
The
is looking
tomatoes
nice.
and the peppers and all that have become nice and soft, released a lot of their juices, and that's where our pasta sauce is gonna come from. So what we're gonna do next, if you have a bigger pan, like a roasting pan that you did this in, you can mix this all up in the pan. Mine is kind of small, so I'm gonna get a separate bowl and mix it up in there.
Yeah, that cheese is looking nice and toasted. I'm already getting hungry.
Okay, yeah, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna hold this up kind of over the bowl.
Okay.
I want you to use the spoon and put it into there.
Scrape it out and dig it in?
Yeah.
All right. Just like all in a pile?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna mix it up again too.
Okay.
Yummy.
There we go. Look at that big old chunk of cheese. There we go.
Oh my God, it smells great.
It smells so good.
It smells like a pizza.
If only we could get this video to have smell incorporated.
If only you could make this at home.
Yeah, there you go. You cook this while following along, and then you got the smell component of the video.
Watch it twice, you know.
There you
3
go.
times. Take notes. More views, please.
Yes.
Okay, so we got our pot, all our sauce ingredients here. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna take our pasta, we're gonna add this into it.
There we go. The feta and the pasta are coming together.
What I would recommend, we kind of did this in the wrong order, but when you put your tomatoes and all that in the bake, then start your pasta so that it's not sitting out as long.
Right.
We just did it the way that we did it for video's sake.
Time elapsed.
Okay, so we got all that in there. Now, we're gonna give it a good stir. This might get a little messy. That's fine.
It's not worth cooking if you're not going to get down and dirty.
Exactly. The messier, the better.
Exactly. Oh, that cheese is breaking up nicely. That looks really, really good.
Okay, so now we've got this all mixed up. It's not quite in a sauce form yet. So now we're going to take our pasta water. Here I've got about a cup and a half or so. And you're going to add it in slowly. There's no precise amount. It just depends on how much of each individual ingredient. But you're going to add it in slowly, little bits at a time, until it creates kind of a nice velvety sauce that covers all the pasta. A little bit.
I was wondering when that was going to come back.
Look, I called it liquid gold. It even looks like liquid gold.
It does. It looks like forbidden lemonade.
Drink it.
Oh gosh, can I?
Not out of that.
Okay.
Oh, we're not
boy.
animals here. Or just, you know, like a dog.
Oh yeah, just...
Make sure that you break up your feta block in here too, if you had a block. Some stores sell it in the crumbles. The crumble's really good for this, but if you have a block, which will probably taste better, but if you have a block, make sure you break it up and get it everywhere. A little bit more liquid gold. Notice how I'm not adding a bunch of the pasta water all at once, you know? Because if you add too much, then the sauce will go from being nice and silky, covering everything, to just being super loose and watery. And you don't want that. So Hayden, you can probably see it better than the camera can, but you see how the pasta's starting to kind of glisten. This is a really light sauce,
I see
but
it.
it's starting to get incorporated everywhere.
Yeah, there's like it's breaking up more, and it looks more like a glaze. Yeah.
This is taking a little while to mix and get in a nice sauce, but like I said earlier, for you may not even need any pasta water added to it. All just depends on your ratios. And here we measure with our heart, so you never know the ratios.
Always measure with the cardiac organ.
Okay, so now we're gonna take that fresh basil from earlier. And there's two ways you can do this, okay? You know, a more chefy way to do would be to take the leaves and layer them on top of each other.
If you're really fancy.
And then roll it up like a cigar, you know? But if you're asking an Italian grandma, she just wants you to rip them. So, and sprinkle on. So that's what we're gonna do. Hayden, you can help with this.
Okay.
You know, rip it up kind of jaggedly, you know, some smaller pieces, some bigger pieces. We're gonna stir it again so it's all gonna get mixed in. And that, honestly, when you're tearing the basil and you're not using a sharp knife, it kind of releases that basil smell and flavor a little bit better.
There we go.
And also your hands are gonna smell like basil afterwards.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was picking up the scent as we're ripping them, and it's like, ooh, not bad.
Okay, so we got all our basil in. We're gonna stir it up again. That basil gives us a nice green pop to our pasta too. It's gonna look great. And the residual heat from the pasta is kind of gonna cook the basil a little bit, but it's still gonna remain mostly raw, and it's not gonna be as intense of a cook as if we had thrown it in with the rest of our ingredients.
That's cool because like the visually, there's like kind of a lot of color theory going on in here with like the green and the red complementing each other, and the pasta has sort of like a cream color, and it all looks good together.
So, it's all done. Now it's time to plate and test, but first, you're gonna drink the pasta water.
I'm gonna drink the pasta water. Let's do it.
Okay, Hayden, I got one for you and one for me.
Okay.
This is probably gonna be really salty.
Let's
We're
do
just
it.
gonna do a little bit.
I gotta drink that liquid gold. I'm a prospector.
I might throw up on you. Okay. How are we
Okay.
doing this? Cilantro?
Well, cheers.
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 That's worse than opening your mouth in the ocean. Oh, that's not good, but like, oddly kind of, did you swallow?
I swallowed.
Oh,
I did it.
You're a monster.
Let's go.
My mouth just tastes salty.
If you want to wake up, that's the perfect way to do it. Wow.
Okay, we're gonna plate this. And another thing real quick before I plate this, you see how much pasta we made here with a pound of pasta?
Oh yeah.
This is something, you know, multiple people, or for yourself, if you want to have lunch for like the next 4 days, you know, you can do this. Probably cheaper than going to cookout every day. I don't know, depends on what you get at cookout.
True. Cookout, like, you know.
Hey, this isn't an ad for cookout.
Now we're gonna plate up. You know, be generous with this. It's gonna taste great. You're gonna want more.
Just got to go back for seconds. No, you got to get a big bowl and get the seconds right there immediately.
I mean, the only reason I'm putting this in separate bowls is because Hayden is here, you know? Okay. Got a little bit of everything up in there.
There we go. Gotta get every little ingredient in there.
Okay. And then something I do with mine that's a little different. You don't have to if you don't want to. There's a touch of balsamic vinegar. Do you want some?
I think I will. I think I will get some.
Tell me if I do too much.
That's good.
Okay. Hang on. We're not eating yet.
I'm hungry.
I got a model for an hour now.
Let's stir that in, but there's one last thing. Frequent viewers know what's coming. MVP of the show, dried parsley flakes.
There we go.
Even though we already have green, you can never have enough green.
Oh, that is perfect.
Okay?
Wow.
Now, taste test.
All right.
Make sure you get a little bit of everything in there.
Get some noodles and get some tomato.
Here we go, taste test
Bon
time.
appetit. Oh, wow.
Hey, you need to leave. I need some alone time.
Can I take this with me?
No.
Oh. Well, it was a fun taste while it lasted. Thank you all.
Thanks again, guys, for coming to this week's episode of Cooking in College. Remember to like the video, subscribe. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments.
Yeah.
And if you decide to make this at home, send us a picture at Jack TV and we may post it on our Instagram. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
See y'all soon.